Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome at the final fourth day of the 2019 edition of the World Science Forum in the houses of the Hungarian Parliament. My name is Balázs Gulyás. I'm a professor of neuroscience, a medic. I'm right now professor at the Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, while keeping my position in psychiatry in the Department of Psychiatry at the Karolinska Institute of Stockholm. And with a handful of people in this room, and I recognize a few faces here, I am one of those who started the World Science Forum series in 2003 as a follow-up conference series of the 1999 World Conference on Science organized by UNESCO and the Hungarian Academy of Sciences here in Budapest. I would like to start with some apologies. I have to apologize that we start this session with 30 minutes delay due to the entry conditions to this building. My sincere apologies on behalf of the organizers and on behalf of the Hungarian Parliament. Just to have a few words about this building where we are now. The Hungarian Parliament's building was built between 1885 and 1902, designed by an architect called Imre Steindl, and inspired by the Parliament in London, although with one very clear mission. It should be a bit larger, a bit taller than the Parliament in London. The style, at first sight, is neo-Gothic or Gothic Renaissance, but it contains also elements of Baroque, the floor plan, for instance, the cupola or the dome, which is not a Renaissance style, and also it contains elements of Renaissance architecture, including the ceilings and the paintings, the wall paintings. The length of the Parliament is 268 meters. The width is 123 meters. And the cupola, the dome, is 96 meters tall. When the Hungarian Parliament was built, the Parliament consisted of two chambers, the upper house and the lower house. Right now, Hungary has a one-chamber parliament, and the whole of the parliament of present days is the other major hall on the other side of the cupola. We are in the upper house room or hall of the parliament, which is only used for ceremonial purposes and not for the present-day Parliament of Hungary. So with this short introduction, and with my apologies again for the delay, without any further ado, allow me to open the first session, which will contain 3 welcome speeches and a welcome video. After that, we will have our keynote speech today, followed by a short coffee break at around 11 o'clock. So allow me to ask our first speaker, Dr. Orsolya Pacsai Tomasics, State Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade of Hungary, to speak on behalf of the host country of the 2019 edition of the World Science Forum. Orsolya, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, What an honor it is for me to stand in front of you today and to welcome all of you on this wonderful occasion. You who are the most influential stakeholders, the most important people in the world of science. What a great thing to have you here in Hungary today, all of you. A warm welcome from the government of Hungary, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Let me just give you a couple of words and share my thoughts with you about the role of the Hungarian science diplomacy. One of the main goals of the Hungarian government is to enhance our capacity in building innovative economy through utilizing the knowledge accumulated in the field of science, technology, and innovation. Science is the root of innovation, and innovation is the source of economic growth. By promoting international cooperation and innovation, we can stimulate growth and enhance the capability of our national research development innovation system in an increasingly interconnected science community. The strengthening of Hungary's ability to attract talents is a key factor in building startup ecosystems. Therefore, it is our goal to encourage the development of a modern, internationalized higher education sector, and especially the launching of educational and training programs in the sphere of Industry 4.0, focusing on data sciences and artificial intelligence. The Hungarian government for many years has recognized research, development, and innovation as a key set of tools for competitiveness and soft diplomacy. With the establishment of the Department of Science Diplomacy within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the knowledge-based, innovative approach has gained grounds, complementing the traditional diplomacy and international foreign trade relations. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade actively takes part in promoting the achievements of the Hungarian science community and innovative high-tech companies. Science diplomacy as a soft diplomacy tool is all about connecting people, ideas, and knowledge, as you well know. Through these connections, mutually beneficial opportunities are revealed, partnerships develop, and countries begin to cooperate as they learn to work together more and more closely. We are focusing on developing innovative, knowledge-based, knowledge-intensive sectors, which are the basis of our economic competitiveness through our external relations. With the help of science diplomacy, we intend to attract knowledge-intensive foreign investment based on research and development. We intend to establish workplaces creating high added value. Thus, we encourage the invented in Hungary type of investments instead of the made in Hungary type of investments. Another main task of our science diplomacy is to promote Hungarian scientific, technological, and innovation results as the strengthening of the international relations of research, development, and innovation. We also facilitate the launch of joint projects between universities, research institutions, and innovative startups. Our embassies throughout the world engage in a growing number of result-oriented science diplomacy projects. In 2018, our foreign missions showed greater interest in organizing science diplomacy programs than ever before. This year, 86 missions have received financial support for the implementation of their science diplomacy programs in various fields. Just to name a few, we sponsor programs for the promotion of Hungarian scientific and technological results, the promotion of higher education opportunities, the launch of innovative startups abroad, health innovation, digitalization, smart city thematics, agro-technology, water management innovation are also highlighted topics. The yearly budget of these science diplomacy programs amount to 70 million Hungarian forints, which exceeds 210,000 euros, just to give you an idea. Managing, incubating, and promoting innovative startups will be a priority for the upcoming period for us, as well as the promotion of our successful digitalization efforts and solutions for our foreign partners, or fostering and promoting regional digitalization corporations. Our foreign missions have organized a number of events in order to promote Hungarian world-class research infrastructure around the world. like the Eli Alps attosecond light pole source or the Zala Zone autonomous vehicle test fields. It is essential to find foreign research or business partners for the successful operation of these infrastructures, and our embassies make tremendous efforts to create partnerships in this field with your countries. Talking about the geographical direction of our science diplomacy, in line with the foreign policy and the foreign economic priorities of the Hungarian government, I would like to mention the Visegrad Group, whose members, with their dynamically developing economies and excellent innovative capacities, wish to become the focal point of European innovation. As a result of their joint efforts, the ongoing research and development in the framework of the V4 cooperation are noteworthy. The Visegrad cooperation with third countries like Japan, South Korea, or Israel is expanding dynamically. As for our Western partners, Hungarian science diplomacy facilitates channeling good practices in startup incubation, digitization, smart cities. As for our Eastern partners, we primarily intend to transfer Hungarian knowledge and technology. In both cases, we help establish research collaborations. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to, at the end, mention some of the major domestic science diplomacy events organized recently by us. Not long ago, in cooperation with the Embassy of the United States in Budapest, we organized an expert seminar on smart city development. At the event, the municipalities and companies involved in the development of the Hungarian smart city policy were able to learn about the development models of the smart city of the United States, its strategies at local and national levels. Also, a NATO Science for Peace and Security Information Day was held to inform Hungarian higher education institutions and research institutions about NATO's little-known but accessible research and development funding cooperation. At the initiative of the Embassy of South Korea, a seminar on smart transport for smart cities was organized, and it focused on electric and self-driving cars. The seminar took place with the presence of the government and business audience both. Lastly, in June this year, in the framework of the cooperation between China and Central and Eastern European countries, we organized the 17+1 Cultural and Creative Industries Forum. The forum presented a wide range of Hungarian success stories in the field of fashion, design and media, and also government measures, educational and development models. As for future events, we are going to continue the V4 Israel Innovation Cooperation that started under the Hungarian V4 presidency in 2018, or the knowledge sharing program between the 4 Visegrad countries and the Republic of Korea will continue with a new impetus during the Czech V4 presidency this year. The joint Hungarian-Korean research topic is entitled Third Mission of Higher Education Institutions. Dear guests, distinguished colleagues, in conclusion, I would like to express once more my heartfelt thanks to the organizers of the World Science Forum, offering an excellent fora to debate on timely and acute problems affecting the global economy and science and having the same relevance for all of us. I'm convinced that we again will make a rewarding effort to not only set up the stage for fruitful discussions, but also to give answers and seek solutions to questions of mutual concern. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, allow me to ask the representative of our main partner organization, UNESCO, Dr. Shamila Nair Beduel, who will speak on behalf of the Director General of UNESCO, Her Excellency Audrey Azoulay, who cannot be here today with us due to the General Assembly of UNESCO. Dr. Shamila Nair Beduel is Assistant Director General of UNESCO, responsible for natural sciences. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good day, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Zártó, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary, Your Excellency, Minister Blade Nzimande, Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology of South Africa, State Secretary Tomasic, thank you, and the President of the Hungarian Academy of Science, all Your Excellencies present here today, Princess Somalia. I bring you greetings, ladies and gentlemen, from the Director General of UNESCO, Madam Audrey Azoulay, who is unable to join you today as we are still in the sessions of the 40th General Conference of UNESCO. I have the great pleasure to address you on behalf of the organization, which has a very unique mandate for science, technology, and innovation across the world. Firstly, UNESCO would like to thank the Hungarian government and the Hungarian Academy of Sciences in particular for taking the lead in convening this global forum for science diplomacy for over 20 years now. I also extend my thanks to the National Assembly of Hungary for granting us the hospitality the last day of this year's forum. This Parliament building is testimony of the science, technology and innovation, the mathematics and the engineering that went into building every little part of this building to perfection, no doubt. And that is the science at work. So this building is a very historic building with a lovely location on the banks of the Danube, providing you perfect little views of the entire river, all in synchrony and in harmonization. That is science, technology and innovation at its work. It is a perfect setup for our conversation today on science diplomacy. Allow me also to thank all of you, dear participants, for having come from all over the world to this forum. UNESCO is delighted with the partnership with the Hungarian government. And thank you all for contributing to this year's theme, which is ethics and responsibility of science. Through intensive discussions over the last days, panels, sessions, your contributions, important steps can be taken to achieve our common goal, which is to bring science closer to society and society closer to science. Before I embark into a little presentation on behalf of the Director General of UNESCO, I would like to start with the Constitution of UNESCO, brought together by forefathers many decades ago. The Constitution of UNESCO, which represents all of us here and its 193 member states, clearly indicates, wars begin in the minds of men. It is in the minds of men that we can build the peaceful societies to education, science, culture, and communication. And today we are faced with a myriad of social, economic, and environmental challenges. We need science more than we have ever done before. UNESCO is an instrument of international peace and cooperation through all of its programs. And we know that the science has a power to cross borders and to connect peoples, communities, and societies. This is what we call science diplomacy. It builds a power of science as a tool to achieve different objectives, but not only to reach countries, but also the science itself and the manner in which it is communicating is able to serve as a peaceful tool among countries. UNESCO is promoting cooperation, international solidarity, and a deeper understanding of the challenges facing the world today and all of our society. So we do believe that science diplomacy is an important advocacy for social challenges and human rights. Listen to the scientists. We heard this appeal often this year, as well as in New York, recently at the General Assembly. And the more and more we hear it, the more louder our voices become. This is necessary since there is an urgency in listening to facts provided by scientists and acting accordingly, not only when it comes to climate change, but a wide range of issues in achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the UN General Assembly, all the member states of the United Nations. UNESCO stands ready to do its part. Our mission, as I mentioned, is building peace in the minds of women and men through the S in UNESCO, is within the framework of the science diplomacy programs. Be it science for diplomacy, science in diplomacy, or diplomacy for science, UNESCO has been at the forefront of using science for better relationships between countries, using scientific knowledge for diplomatic processes, and using diplomatic means to achieve scientific goals. However, we would not be able to do that without you, the distinguished scientific community present here today, and without our partners, the academies of science, as well as important countries such as Hungary, which hosts this symposium annually. Science diplomacy is at the heart of all our intergovernmental and international scientific programs. UNESCO is home to the Man and the Biosphere program, to the International Hydrological program, to the International Geosciences and Geoparks program, and the International Basic Science program, to name but a few, including our Intergovernmental Oceanographic program. All of these programs bring together not only hardcore science, but the soft power of science for trust building between nations, for facilitating cooperation at different levels and between different stakeholders. A few other notable examples of UNESCO's actions illustrate the power of science for diplomacy. Few people today will remember the idea of creating a European Council for Nuclear Research, which we all know as CERN, which has given birth to the World Wide Web. At that time, the European intellectuals brought together intellectuals from across the world, men and women, artists and scientists, and this cooperation led to the construction of peace in the region. The Transboundary European Organization for Nuclear Research was born to become an international organization, and today it's the prime scientific institution uniting scientists from all over the world and located on both sides of the developed and the developing world. Almost 70 years later, based on the success of the CERN, C-E-R-N, the synchrotron light for experimental science and applications in the Middle East, called SESAME, S-E-S-A-M-E, was inaugurated in Alam, in Jordan. In terms of international scientific cooperation, SESAME is not only the Middle East equivalent of CERN, but it brings together all 193 member states of UNESCO. There are also transboundary biosphere reserves, transboundary rivers. UNESCO is custodian to 692 transboundary aquifers, promoting peace, diplomacy, cooperation, and trust building between nations, enabling these neighboring countries to foster peace by jointly managing their precious natural resources. A most recent example is the Biopelt project, bringing together 40 million people around Lake Chad in Central Africa. Lake Chad is an opportunity for sub-regional scientific cooperation and underpins the joint effort to promote and safeguard scientific research and cultures of the 6 African countries that share a unique Lake Chad basin. This also contributes to poverty reduction and women empowerment. But more can be done, and we look forward to working with this elite scientific community and partners to ensure that science diplomacy is not only an important tool, but that it should be made better known within all scientific circles, as well as in the diplomatic world, including all United Nations agencies and entities. UNESCO stands ready, and this parliamentary building is a perfect place to talk about it. We stand ready to facilitate and enable fruitful exchanges and cooperation between the scientific world and the politicians of the legislative branch, the parliamentarians, as well as other stakeholders. In this context, we are currently revising the UNESCO Science Parliamentarians Program, and we are looking forward to learning experience from the Hungarian experience and other stakeholders present here today to share with us ideas of how we could promote this collaboration and cooperation amongst 193 member states of the world. After all, this is where peace and science diplomacy begins. Looking into the future, we all know we have to work hard to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. This is our benchmark. This must be our orientation. We have to raise the bar. We have to aim higher to get closer to peace and for bringing poverty through an end through access to the benefits of science, technology, and innovation. Hence, UNESCO's proposal right now to promote the concept and a recommendation for open science to decrease the divide and the knowledge divide between people across the world and promoting access to technology and innovation for development. The World Science Forum has an important role to play in bringing that discussion and science back to the table. So let us come together, build a better world. We have a role to play, an important role, a duty to fulfill our descendants and our future generations. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the world is changing at an increasing faster pace. Technology is almost taking over what we would probably have a lot of difficulties to function without: smartphones, tablets, and notebooks. However, nothing can replace the personal contact. And in this context of this beautiful building, this personal contact can overcome boundaries and cross boundaries and bring people together. I'm therefore looking forward to meeting you all again in 2 years' time, where we would welcome you on behalf of the organizers and the Hungarian government and UNESCO in the beautiful country of South Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Shamila Nair Beduel, and I would like to ask you to bring home to your headquarters in Paris our heartiest greetings to all your collaborators who contributed to the success of the World Science Forum, especially to your Director General, Her Excellency Audrey Azoulay, and I kindly ask you to continue the collaboration with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask our third opening speaker of the day, His Excellency Dr. Bonginkosi Blade Zimande, Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology of the Republic of South Africa. The Minister will speak on behalf of the host country of the next edition of the World Science Forum, which will take place in Cape Town in 2021. Minister Zimande, Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Director of Ceremonies, State Secretary, Paksay Tomasish, Assistant Director General, Nia Bedell from UNESCO, President Lovash of the Hungarian Academy of Science, ladies and gentlemen, and all distinguished guests who are here. I must start firstly by appreciating that people of my height often have problems about badly designed podiums. This is the best ever podium I've had to stand where I am literally taller than everybody in the house. After 3 days of stimulating debate, I greatly value the opportunity to address you during this plenary session, which will undoubtedly highlight our celebration of the 20th anniversary of the World Science Forum's crucial role in promoting science diplomacy. South Africa's new white paper on science, technology and innovation, which is our new policy, puts a priority focus on the implementation of a national science diplomacy agenda to advance South Africa's foreign policy objectives, especially to strengthen multilateralism and reinforce global solidarity and global peace, but also to harness international cooperation to advance science. I therefore look very much forward to the keynote address by Dr. Kolglasia, as well as the ensuing panel discussions. Indeed, for the challenges of the 21st century, science diplomacy is a precious tool in humanity's arsenal to confront the societal challenges our planet has to address. In South Africa, during our first 25 years of democracy, science diplomacy made a qualitative difference in our young nation's development. I would like to illustrate this point, for instance, by highlighting the basis of our framework, that science diplomacy, in our case we define it as science and diplomacy, diplomacy for science, and science for diplomacy. But the key themes underlining this is science for peace and inclusive development, science for equality, and science for justice, including ecological justice. Our young democratic South Africa has consistently and successfully worked to advance the Global Sustainable Development Agenda, including the adoption of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have also been very active in the forums of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Specifically, our focus is to ensure that the interests of the developing world are safeguarded and also promoted through science. Our diplomatic effort is also directed towards facilitating international scientific cooperation, and would like to mention the example of the Square Kilometre Array partnership to build the world's largest radio telescope to be located in South Africa and Australia. No country, no matter how big or strong, has the resources and expertise to alone achieve the ambitions of the project of the scale of the Square Kilometre Array. It is truly, therefore, the global flagship project for the 21st century frontier science. A concerted diplomatic effort was thus required to unite countries from Africa, Australasia, Asia, the Americas, and Europe in this endeavor. This culminated earlier this year with the signing of an important convention which will establish a new international organization to govern the Square Kilometre Array project, an example where diplomacy indeed does serve the cause of science. Lastly, Director of Ceremonies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to highlight the role scientific cooperation is playing to strengthen intra-African cooperation and integration. South Africa continues in this regard to actively invest in and support the research and innovation programs of the African Union, as well as the Southern African Development Community, of which we are a part. These programs bring Africans together across boundaries which sometimes divide us, demonstrating the power of science to unite. And we are firm believers and participants in the necessity to narrow global inequalities, especially in science funding. Ladies and gentlemen, as these examples I've just highlighted have shown, the potential of science diplomacy to make a difference for good in our world is enormous. I would like to again express our appreciation for the efforts of the World Science Forum over the past 20 years to advance science diplomacy. I pledge here today to all partners and participants that South Africa, in hosting the 2021 forum, will do our best to serve this cause, building on the proud legacy and tradition. And in the true African custom, we commit to welcome you to South Africa and treat all of you with respect and dignity. I thank you for your attention and look forward to rich discussions this morning. Thank you.
Minister, and we are graced to have the Minister for a second time today during this session, so I don't say goodbye or any other message, because we will have to say it again when you will take over the Olympic flame from the President of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences later today at the podium. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell a few words about the 20 years ago organized World Conference on Science, which was a joint venture, a joint endeavor between the Hungarian Academy of Sciences and UNESCO. UNESCO had wanted to organize a World Conference on Science when the Hungarian Academy of Sciences came to the fore and told UNESCO, please come to Budapest. And the then Director General of UNESCO, Professor Federico Mayer, came to Budapest, discussed it, and told to UNESCO, we have to come to Budapest. Federico Mayer cannot be here today with us, despite his sincere wish to join this day with us here in the Hungarian Parliament. Unfortunately, his doctors recommended him to stay at home in Madrid. But he sent us a video message. And in the next few minutes, we will listen to the video message of Professor Federico Mayer. But before we start this video, allow me just to greet some of the veterans of this forum, because I look around here in the room and I realize that there are a handful of people whom I met in 1999 here in Budapest at the World Conference on Science. Let me start with Madame Katalin Bogyai. We were both sitting in the advisory board of that conference, and Madame Ambassador has been since then our permanent member of the team. Madame Diana Malpede, greeting to you. Diana was the hero of UNESCO because all the legwork in UNESCO was done by Diana in the last 2 decades. Professor Norbert Kró, as the Secretary General of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, was instrumental to bring the World Science Forum into life and was our other major team member in the last 2 decades. Professor Ferenc Glass, who was the president of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, when the 1999 conference was organized, he was the host of the conference 20 years ago. And I see Tibor Farago, I see István Palugyai, I see Feri Mezei, friends who are team members and will become our, let's say, golden World Science Forum team in the future. Please forgive me if I have forgotten about somebody in the room who was here. Raise your hands if you were here already 20 years ago. Oh, Mohammed, most welcome. Sorry, how could I forget about you? Sorry for this short interruption. And now let me ask our dear friend to start the video, the message of Professor Federico Mayer. Gépet? Azt a gépet? No problem.
I'm very sorry not to be able to be present in this World Science Forum 20 years after the World Conference on Science. Yes, once more you are the host country, the World Science Forum in Budapest, organized by the Hungarian Academy of Science. Thank you very much, Professor Lovas, for all what you have done. Many thanks as well to Professor Bochum, to Professor Kazan, and I have also in mind your excellent participant and ambassador in the United Nations, Her Excellency Bogyai, Katalin Bogyai, yes, I remember her very well. Well, this meeting, as you know, was made in partnership at the beginning with UNESCO, was the organizer, and now today UNESCO is one of the most important partners, altogether with the World Academy of Science, with International Scientific Council. There are many of the European academies. I would not mention all, but I would like to emphasize the role of the Global Young Academy, because it's particularly relevant that when we are talking about responsibility, the young people are here. And I would like also to mention that it's extremely relevant that in this occasion you are dealing with science, ethics and responsibility. Responsibility because now, precisely now, is particularly relevant because we are facing for the first time in history processes that are potentially irreversible. And it is for this that we have a special responsibility. We cannot postpone anymore, as in the past, that we could postpone the actions, the measures to be adopted. Now, no, because otherwise we can arrive, we are already arriving to points of no return. And this will be a terrible mistake to have this historical legacy for the first time in the history with deteriorated habitability of the earth. Dear friends, I would like to emphasize until what point today science, knowledge-based governance. Science is extremely relevant for this new social contract that we must have with it. First of all, we must tell the society that we need to have all the people very awakened now. We cannot be only witnesses of what is happening. We cannot be spectators. We must be very, very, very committed actors. And every single human being, all equal in dignity, able to think, to imagine, to anticipate, to create. This is our hope, because we can invent a different future, and we can give to all our descendants a dignified life. Because for the first time also, we have today the agreements of Paris on climate change. We have this wonderful resolution of the United Nations General Assembly in 2015 that says is to transform the world. The Agenda 2030 with all the Sustainable Development Goals is precisely for this, is to transform the world. Therefore, let us now tell that, yes, we will from now on not utilize any more force, but the word, that we will utilize science diplomacy, that we will try to have this knowledge-based governance of the world. No more plutocratic groups, no more G6, G7, G20, no more Mr. Trump, no more possibilities for you to say that you will not put into practice the agreements of Paris or the Sustainable Development Goals, because this is an offense for all the young people in the world, not from the North American, but from all the people. Today we have global threats, and we must react. Let me end this brief intervention telling you that for me is very important this tale of Leonardo da Vinci, when he says that he's a vessel that is going with very good weather, and there are on board women and men, black and whites, from one ideology and other, from one religion and other, from one ethnic and other, all the diversity. And he said that suddenly that is a very, very big storm, and they realize that they can sing. And he says suddenly there are no more on board black or whites, women and men. There are only passengers that are trying to act jointly and to survive. This is what I think that will be, no doubt, the conclusion of this wonderful World Science Forum. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will definitely send a message later today to Professor Federico Mayor, who was not only the Director General of UNESCO, but was a well-known biochemist, is a well-known biochemist, but probably few of us know, but we know, that he is a celebrated poet also, with numbers of very well-known poems in Spain, and we have seen from his message he still has a big heart. Thank you, Federico Mayor. And at this point, I referred a few minutes ago to some of those in the room who were participants, and not only participants, active contributors of the 1999 World Conference on Science. Allow me to name just 3 more persons. 2 of them are still with us, and the third one has already passed away. Professor József Pálinkás was and is a member of our steering committee. He was at that time the State Secretary of Science, and he played an instrumental role in bringing the World Conference on Science to Budapest in 1999. Professor József Hámori, also a member of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, was the Minister of Culture and co-chaired the conference with Professor Federico Mayor. But the critically important person, probably the most important person in our history, was Professor István Lang, the then Secretary General of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, and his contribution was vital, pivotal, and essential to establish the World